Recently, I was in the market for some floating shelves. My wife really wanted them. She loves the idea of putting some floating shelves on the wall, but man, are they expensive. So like any weekend warrior, I told her I'm gonna build my own. So today, we're gonna be building some weekend warrior style floating shelves.
Welcome to the Weekend Warriors Home Improvement Show, built by Parr Lumber. Your Weekend Warriors, Tony and Corey.
All right, Corey, how are we going to do this and where are we going to start? It looks like this one's going to be super easy to build.
Yeah, I built this one yesterday.
This is mine. Yeah. You do the next one. I'm kidding.
We need to finish it. We need to sand it, round over the edges, but it's pretty much done. I chose to build this out of mixed grain clear hemlock. It's a very nice wood. It stains very nice. It finishes very nice. I was able to find 1/2 by 6, 1/2 inches thick, and it's 5.5 inches net width. And I bought one piece, and it cost me just under 40 bucks for one piece of this really nice wood. So we're gonna show you how to put one of these together without any nails.
That's right. No mechanical fasteners in here at all. If you have really smooth, clean surfaces like we started with this product, the glue really wants to do the work anyways.
We're basically building a box with an open side. Then we have a 2x4 that we're going to drill holes. We're gonna pre-drill holes on this side. And then you're gonna fasten that to the wall.
Or maybe something like that. You wanna make sure you hit a stud.
So we're gonna bolt that to the wall, and then this basically slides over it, just like so. And then once it's flush to the wall, then we're gonna take a pin nail and pin through the top, then you'll never see it. Let's cut these pieces up and we'll start gluing it up. We'll show you how we do it. I was able to get this material in what's called S4S. It's smooth on all 4 sides, and it's got very square edges. You want to rip this piece of wood here that goes around the edge slightly wider than 2.5 inches. So then you take your 1/2 inch on the top, 1/2 inch on the bottom, and that'll leave you 1.5 inches. I would suggest making it about a 1/16 of an inch over, so that way it easily slides in and out of there. Now I need to cut the 2 ends, and then we need to cut the top and the bottom, and then we're going to show you how we're going to glue this up. The one thing I want to make sure is that these pieces that I just cut are the exact same width as the top and the bottom. 19 inches. If you want to try and get a really clean cut, one thing you can do is wrap it with masking tape like this, like painter's tape, where you're going to put your cut, and that'll help prevent a lot of that tear out. Looking good. So now the next thing we need to do is glue this up. We are not staining these. I'm actually just going to put a clear coat on it. But there's one thing, if you've ever stained anything, that you realize after gluing something up is stain does not stick to glue. It doesn't absorb into glue at all. So if I were going to stain this piece, all of this glue that's squeezed out that you can see here, that I'm going to try and sand off. If you do plan on staining these, you'll want to make sure that you take all the precautions and get all of that glue off.
You know what that means to me? We should be wearing clothes made out of glue. They wouldn't stain. That's such a great idea.
We're going to put a lot of glue on here. We're going to rub it in. You want to be pretty generous with the glue, especially if you're only using glue. Get that all aligned nicely. Make sure everything's Nice and flush on all sides, and then tighten your clamp. And you'll see that glue start to squeeze out. At this point, if you haven't taken any precautions, you can take a wet towel and wipe that glue off. We're going to be coming in here with a piece of wood that's going to fit flush in there. So if that glue has hardened, it's going to be very difficult to get our piece of wood into that corner. So we're going to scrape that out. Now we literally need to wait for the glue to dry.
In the meantime, we need to make sure that our top and bottom, these things are cut absolutely perfect. Did you test fit that?
It is too short.
These shelves are a finished product, which means the joints need to be very tight and clean. Otherwise, it just takes away from the beauty of the build. That's a good tight fit. Nice. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You need to let that glue dry. I'm going to set this off to the side, and we're going to take our aim at this one. We need to sand it down. I'm going to put a nice little 1/8" round off on all the corners. And since I hate dust, I'm going to be wearing my dust mask. So I hit this whole thing with 120, and that smoothed out all of the glue, took all the glue off, the squeeze out. It got everything nice and smooth on all the edges. And then I went over it again with some 320, and that made it really smooth. So now the only thing we need to do is round over all of the edges with a 1/8" round over bit with our little handheld router here. But I'm not gonna do the back because the back is gonna be flush against the wall and you don't want it to look rounded over. I don't usually like to round over the edges or use the orbital sander on the edges because sometimes it gets a little crazy and it gets a little weighty. All right, Tony, should we glue up the top and bottom? Put glue on the edges and fit it in the top and the bottom. And then we'll be letting this sit about 24 hours before we break it apart. So we won't be able to finish this one up tonight, but we'll be able to get that one done. We're going to show you how that works here in a second.
This has been sitting for 15 minutes or so. It maybe would be at 30 minutes if we were letting it fully set. We're going to go ahead and glue up the edges at the top and the bottom piece, get them set, and let that set. We won't be able to work with this anymore tonight because the glue will take 24 hours to cure.
You can never have too many clamps. We don't want to go too tight here. The last thing we need to do is pre-drill holes for our fasteners into our 2x4 that we're going to be mounting on the wall that we're mounting our shelf to. You're gonna wanna try to hit studs if you can. But if you have studs, you'll wanna make sure that you measure 16 inches apart, because that's what studs typically are. Measure, spot, and then drill your holes.
We chose this fastener, which is substantial, and we chose this structural member, which is substantial. So with what we've got, you can store your relic anvils on here. The whole stack of anvils could go on here. If Corey's thinking he's just gonna put a picture or something small on there, it really becomes about the situation. Yeah. What is your scenario? How strong does it need to be? And what are you putting on there?
So this is a 5-inch ledger lock. You can actually get these slightly longer. But if you are screwing this into a wall, you know, that's all the bite you get right there. So if you have a 1/2 inch of sheetrock, that really only leaves you about a 1/2 inch going into wood. So what you can do is take a Forstner bit and drill that hole, put a spot face in the wood as deep as you need it to go so that you can drill this screw deeper inside the wall. So if you need to store a lot of heavy things on that shelf, use this, drill it deeper, and we'll show you how that works. So I'm going to try and go as level, plumb as I possibly can.
Something else to keep in mind when you're working with a spade bit like this, they do have a tendency to have a mind of their own. They're not super directional, and you have to be, and they're very aggressive. Make sure you're careful.
Here's a classic example. I started here and ended up there. So now I'm going to take this Forstner bit and I'm just going to put a little spot face like that. So we're going to show you how this works.
In this scenario, the 4x4 is the wall.
I think they gathered that. If you ever have that situation, you can back the screw out and then re-drive it. Same thing there.
There is your structural member inside of your wall. And there is your finished shelf. It looks really, really good.
There you have it. Hopefully you found something cool in this video. I really like the way it turned out. This was my very first floating shelf, soon to be shelves.
We've got some homework for you. If you liked this video, put a tree emoji in the comments, and one lucky commenter will get a Weekend Warrior sticker.
Thanks so much for watching. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe buttons down below and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our new videos.
And check out the Weekend Warriors Home Improvement Show wherever you listen to your podcasts.
We'll see you next time.